Hi, I'm David Moskowitz at PropThink, and we're here with the Chairman and CEO of MRI Interventions, Kim Jenkins. Kim, thanks for joining us today.
Sure, good to be here.
So tell us about your technology, ClearPoint. What sets it apart from other technologies or devices in the space?
Sure, so let me sort of set the framework for you. Neurosurgeons today, when they do minimally invasive procedures, are using tools and technologies that have been around for 60 years. The technologies that are in the market now literally came into existence in, I think, 1948 or 49 when Lars Lexell invented the Lexell frame. These procedures there's neat technology around these procedures, but the issue is they're performed blind. The neurosurgeon, when he's inserting, for example, a biopsy needle into the brain, or if he's inserting an electrode or a probe or a drug delivery cannula, he can't see what he's doing. He sees as much of his patient's brain as I'm seeing of your brain right now. So our idea with ClearPoint was to use MRI as an imaging platform to let the surgeon see inside the brain during these procedures. So what we do is we provide real-time visualization. In other words, the surgeon sees the anatomy, he sees the tools in the same surgical space while he's performing the procedure. And we think that's a huge breakthrough. Now, what's interesting about it is what's happening in neurosurgery has happened before in other areas of medicine. I'm sure you're familiar with this. Like in orthopedics, for example, the development of the endoscope led to a complete revolution in the way knee surgeries are done. So 1.2 million or 1.3 million procedures every year. Same thing on the cardiovascular side with the cath lab, right? The fluoroscopy revolutionized that field. Well, that revolution hasn't happened for neurosurgeons yet, and that's the revolution we're bringing about.
So your product is unique. There's nothing else on the market like it?
No, we are the only company like this. This is the only product in the market that enables this capability.
Is ClearPoint an add-on to MRI technology, or is it a standalone product?
So we take existing MRI suites and we add this functionality to it. We think this is an advantage, particularly in this economic environment. David, there's over 5,000 MRI scanners like this inside of hospitals, and virtually every one of those scanners can be upgraded to facilitate ClearPoint procedures. It's a simple upgrade path. It takes maybe 3 or 4 or 5 hours to do the upgrade, and then it's a single shot deal. We come in, we do the upgrade, and then from that day forward, the scanner can be used for diagnostic scans and also intermittently these higher value ClearPoint procedures.
So a new revolutionary technology. Can you talk to our investors about what the market size is for a product like this?
Sure. And let me start with the patient population that we're going after. All of us know of people who suffer from Parkinson's disease or a brain tumor or epilepsy. And those diseases, many of them are treated effectively in their earlier stages with drugs. Like Parkinson's disease, for example, is effectively treated with levodopa in the early stages. But as the disease progresses, the drugs no longer work, and those patients essentially become stranded. Well, that stranded group of late-stage neuro patients is, in the United States, about 2.2 million patients. If you look outside the United States, it's about 4.5 million in the aggregate. That's the group we're going after. And how we're going after them is through the neurosurgeon, who needs to bring really a sort of a more horsepower to the therapy that needs to be delivered to these patients. It's procedures like DBS electrode placement, or deep brain stimulation, as it's known, for Parkinson's, or focal ablation, or direct drug delivery. So these are all procedures that are done with a minimally invasive technique and are done better, we believe, under real-time MRI guidance, i.e. letting the surgeon see what he's doing while he's doing it.
So you mentioned Parkinson's, epilepsy. What other indications are there out there?
Yeah, so our device is approved for general neurological interventions. And so that's a wide gamut of procedures that we can enable. The patient population that is being targeted by neurosurgeons include, Parkinson's disease, and these are late stage Parkinson's, epilepsy, brain tumor, obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, Alzheimer's, and the list goes on. As I say, in the aggregate, it's about 2.2 million patients.
Let's talk a little bit about the company's business model. How do you make money in terms of placements of these new technologies in the marketplace?
Sure, David. This is we've got a classic razor blade. For us, the razor is are the capital components that we add to the MRI scanner. I mentioned to you before, it takes a few hours for us to do the upgrade. Those capital components, the average selling price is about $180,000 for those. Which is actually a small number compared to the several $1 million that a hospital would have invested in their MRI scanner. We offer the hospital a couple of different paths. They can buy that capital equipment up front, or they can lease it from us over time. Either way is okay with us because we make our money on the razor blade component. These are the disposables that are used in connection with doing a ClearPoint procedure, and the things like a device we call our Smart Frame or the Smart Grid, the physician controller. The bundle of disposables that are used, and they're single use, they've got to be thrown away at the end of each procedure. The average selling price for that's about $7,300. We enjoy strong margins on those products, typical to what you'd see for a medical product similar to ours in sort of the 75 to 80% range.
So let's talk about the sale for a moment. So $180,000 sounds like a lot of money, but as you pointed out, it's only a small percentage of what the whole MRI facility costs for a physician. Are physicians receptive to this add-on? And what are the incentives for physicians to want to use this in their practice?
Sure. I think there's, again, let me go back to this group of stranded patients, right? And I can't emphasize this enough. The number of late-stage neuro patients, in the United States and outside the United States is huge. And it's a group that really don't have good medical solutions available to them. So that's what's driving our opportunity. It's it's really the impetus behind the neurosurgeon's interest and the hospital's interest. So to answer your question specifically, from a financial perspective, the hospital's picking up new patients. These are patients that aren't being treated otherwise, or that are being treated very inefficiently or ineffectively. So there's a financial side to it. And secondly, there's a community side to it. These hospitals want to take care of their late-stage Parkinson's patients. They want to take care of the tumor patients that are in their town that are otherwise really not being served properly.
So this product ClearPoint is on the market already.
Absolutely, yes. So ClearPoint is FDA cleared. It's CE marked. It's in commercial use in the United States. Again, we have installations in Europe. We'll begin doing procedures in Europe later this quarter. The penetration that we've seen since our soft launch commenced a little over a year ago has been very strong. We have 15 sites in the United States, and these are sites, David, that you would have heard of. It's UC San Francisco, Emory, National Institutes of Health, the Cleveland Clinic, MD Anderson, Memorial Sloan Kettering, and others. So these are hospitals that are well known, they're leading neurosurgeons, and they're bringing the system in and having very good success with it.
That's impressive. So when do you sort of get the wow factor from the physicians that you're selling to? When does the light bulb turn on and they say this was a really good investment, or do they have to do all that due diligence up front?
So neurosurgeons have been doing these procedures, trying to target structures that are sometimes as small as a peanut in the brain, blind, for 60 years. So they're really looking for a next generation approach. They're looking for this platform. Our typical reaction from neurosurgeons once we show them the technology is they want to do this. They said, this is something we want to bring in.
So since ClearPoint has entered the market, what kind of growth have you seen? What kind of metrics should investors be looking for to gauge the success of ClearPoint?
Sure. So our business model is ridiculously simple from a growth perspective. One, we grow sites, and secondly, we grow utilization within those sites. So I mentioned to you before, we've got 15 sites here in the United States. What I didn't mention to you is those 15 sites have been sold, supported, trained, and placed by just 2 salespeople. We've done all of that work with 2 salespeople. We're now in the process of growing that sales force. You'll see us add additional salespeople this quarter, and that lets us grow the number of sites. And the way we grow utilization is once we get into a center and they begin doing cases, then those doctors want to do additional cases, and actually some of the doctors that are their colleagues in the neuro department may want to do additional procedures. So let's say we go in to a hospital we go into the functional program at a hospital to treat Parkinson's patients. The neuro-oncologist down the hall might say, hey, I can actually use the same technology for tumor biopsies or for drug delivery inside of a tumor.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the other applications for ClearPoint. Do you have any other projects that are in the pipeline? What are some of the other uses for this technology?
Sure. So our idea is, or we view ClearPoint as a platform technology. What I mean by that is that once we go in, we get the system installed, we train the neurosurgeon and his neurosurgery team on how to do the procedures, then he can do a number of different things with this same platform, with the same workflow, the same procedure. So again, he can do tumor biopsies, he can do electrode placement, he can do catheter placement, and that lets him treat a range of patients. We want to continue to grow that platform, and again, we're actually, I think, well on our way to doing that. To switch gears, and if you look a couple of years down the road, we have a system in development called ClearTrace. ClearTrace is very similar to ClearPoint in that we share this idea of solving a very fundamental problem. Let's let the surgeon see what he's doing while he's doing it. In the case of neurosurgery, we're letting the neurosurgeon see inside the brain and see the tools inside the brain as they deliver the therapy. What we do with ClearTrace is we provide that same visualization for catheter-based cardiac EP procedures, specifically to treat AFib and atrial fibrillation and other complex cardiac arrhythmias. That product, the development of that product's going nicely. We have not talked about a target release date for that yet, but we are making very good progress with it.
So let's switch gears and talk about the company from a business standpoint. A lot going on the clinical side, certainly progress with the products in the marketplace. When do you think you could become cash flow positive as a company?
So $70 million, approximately $70 million has gone into the development of this technology, going all the way back to 1998, and when I got involved and started running the company in 2003. So we spent a lot of time in building the core IP, in building the product, getting clinician input, and getting through the FDA process, getting through the CE mark process, and getting those initial installations. All of that, David's in our rearview mirror now. So we're at a point where we're all very excited. We're seeing very significant growth at all levels of the business in terms of sites, utilization, the interest in the product. I'd point out that we were the cover story of the Journal of Operative Neurosurgery back in March. It's sort of like the Sports Illustrated of neurosurgeons. So we're excited about that. The awareness is high, puts us in a very good position, we think, for very significant growth going forward.
So cash flow positive specifically, I guess you haven't given guidance.
Yeah, David, we haven't given guidance on that. What I can say is, again, the heavy liftings in our rearview mirror. The expensive part is in our rearview mirror, and we're getting great traction on the revenue side. What you'd see too, if you look at our filings and look at the last handful of quarters, what you'll see is revenues trending up. Our expenses or operating expenses are going down. They're going down because the research and development's done. And so it puts us in a good position. Again, we haven't given guidance, but we're very pleased with where the company's headed and the trajectory that we're on.
Sounds like the financials are all going in the right direction.
And we believe so.
So you guys came public in May with a stock price of 75 cents. You're now around the $2 range. What's next for investors? What are we looking for to see that stock price continue to rise?
We've got to focus on running the business. We've got to execute. This is about execution from here on out. Look, we got a great product. We've got neurosurgeons very excited about the experiences they're having with this product. We're getting very good traction at some of the leading centers in the country and outside of the United States and Europe who are adopting the ClearPoint system. We're going after a large market. We talked about this late-stage neuro patient population, 2.2 million patients, 4.5 million on a worldwide basis. It's a group that's stranded. They need to be served. So all of that puts us, I think, in a very good position to drive value for our shareholders, to continue to grow this business. That's what we're focused on. So we couldn't be more excited about where we are. We just got to keep our heads down and work hard.
Smaller medical device companies typically end up in the same place. They get acquired. What's a long-term strategy for MRI Interventions?
So I don't know how to build a company to sell it. I know how to build a great company. Our philosophy and the philosophy of the management team has been, let's build a house that we're willing to live in, that we'd be happy to live in for the next 200 years. If you do that right, then you'll have plenty of opportunities to sell the business if and when those occasions arise.
Okay, MRI Interventions. Looks like a very exciting story. Kim, thanks for joining us. We look forward to watching your progress.
Thank you, David.